Gentlemen, anyone online?
Can you hear me?
I could hear you.
Right.
Tom must still be muted. Oh, no, he just unmuted.
Just you, Joshua?
Yeah, no, I was goofing around doing something else.
Well, let's hope we have more than 3 people on the call. Otherwise, this is going to be a sad roundtable.
Well, I know my committee chair is going to be on, so we'll at least have 4.
And I'm from Kentucky, so that probably is not good.
Especially the guy who's supposed to be giving us our committee member leader training tonight, Jerome. He should definitely be on the call. All right, I'm going to go back on mute for a second. If anyone else jumps on, feel free to give them a hearty greeting for me.
Joshua, it's John Herring.
John, I think he's on mute.
Yeah, that's what they've done. Okay.
You guys are way too silent for troop leaders. You guys need to be like unmuting and talking to yourselves.
No, I'm actually multitasking, I'll admit it. I got 5 minutes and 45 seconds. I can send out at least 4 emails in that amount of time.
That's easily, you can do that. Still waiting for Jerome to jump on.
I have enough voices inside my head. I don't need any more talking.
Are you recording right now, Joshua, or are you going to record when this thing starts?
I'm already recording.
Okay.
At least it says this session is being recorded, so I'm assuming it's something's happening.
So at the end, once the meeting closes, you'll get a chance to convert the recording. You have 2 choices. You can do MP4. It's a higher quality recording. It tends to consume a lot of memory. You can do WMV, and while the recording quality isn't quite as good, it's a way smaller file for being able to ship around, for people being able to download. Anything that's a video, including faces on webcams, won't be recorded by the GoToMeeting.
Okay.
It's only going to record whatever the audio is and whatever you're showing on the screen.
Gotcha.
See, we're doing real-time tasks, real-time training while I'm typing an email.
Rest of you guys have people from your troops that you're still waiting for to join?
Not that I know of.
We have the whole committee from Troop 412 here.
Oh, you're all hanging out. Okay.
And, you know, you Temecula guys keep on, Greg, you guys keep on raising the bar for everybody else. What's with you guys? Actually, it's Murrieta, isn't it? I said Temecula, but...
That's okay. It all should have been one city anyway.
Hey, John, I don't have a number for Jerome. I sent him the connecting info, but we're 3 minutes into this. Any chance you can maybe give him a call?
I could, except for I'm dialed in on my phone.
Oh,
if I
gotcha.
do that, then I'll have to disconnect.
Yeah, all I have is an email for him.
That needs to be poured out.
Oh, maybe, no, that's Mark.
How you doing?
Hey, Mark, welcome. Mark, we're still waiting on a couple of people to join in, so we'll be starting here when hopefully if I got my act together, when the timer reaches 0.
Hey, Joshua, I'm sorry. I'm not seeing that I have his telephone number here handy.
Yeah, I don't either.
I'm pulling up all my files here, and I don't see it.
There's someone's dialing in right now. Let's see, waiting for name, it says. Just so everyone knows, I'm going to go ahead and mute your. If you can mute your phones if you're not actively talking, that'll keep some of the crosstalk down, and then just unmute it and pipe up if you guys have questions or whatnot. Teresa, I see you on the line. I don't suppose you happen to have Jerome's telephone number, do you?
I do. Let me look it up and I'll send it over.
You got 53 seconds.
Pressure.
Just give him a call, Teresa, and remind him to get up on he's supposed to be talking tonight.
Montrose, that's northern LA? Is that up by Pasadena?
Yeah, it's by Pasadena, in the west of Pasadena.
Okay.
La Cañada, Sunland, Montrose.
You're our new troop, right?
Brand new.
Brand spanking new. He's a shiny.
Had 3 meetings. They've gone great.
I heard a ding. I don't know if somebody else popped on. Let me see. All right, time's
Also,
up.
if people dial in just on their phone, they will not necessarily show up on the list unless they've actually also logged into the computer.
All right.
Anybody else that just dialed in on their phone is not on the computer?
I guess that's a no. Okay. Welcome to the Southern California Trail Life Leader Roundtable. I'm very, very happy to see we have Mark. I'm going to mute you. Or mute yourself, please. There you go. All right. Thank you. All right. So again, welcome to Southern California Leader Roundtable. We're very, very happy to see everyone here. Hopefully Jerome dials in here pretty soon. Otherwise, you will see what happens when a leader has to punt and make up a training on the spot. I was busy putting together a slideshow, and so I will have to, waiting for name has arrived. Somebody's popping on. Is that Jerome? Somebody? It's waiting for name.
Josh, it's Trace. I'm giving him a call right now.
Awesome. Thank you, Teresa. All right. He's at the end of the meeting anyway, so we can go ahead and keep going. So before we start, let's have an opening ceremony. I couldn't find a Trail Life troop to film an opening ceremony for me, so we'll have to punt and do this with a slideshow. But before we start, can I get a volunteer to open us up in a word of prayer, please?
This is John. I'll take that on. I'll
Thank
do
you, John.
that. Hey, folks, please join me in prayer. Heavenly Father, thanks for the chance to be here tonight, the chance to be with fellow servants that are out there working with young men, working to create good husbands, good fathers, and good Christian adults. Help us to be true to our motto, to help to prepare these young men to walk worthy in the Lord. Be with us here tonight. Give us inspiration from the words of Joshua and Jerome and the others that I'll share, and help particularly the Trail Life troops out there to carry your word and carry your word of salvation forward. We ask all these things in Jesus Christ's name. Amen.
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 So for those of you guys who are troop masters, you're probably pretty familiar with an opening ceremony that involves not only a word of prayer or some sort of spiritual opening, but as well as a patriotic one. That we are Trail Life USA, so I thought I would add that into the mix here and go through it very quickly. The history of the Star Spangled Banner. I was going through this. I had known this myself, and was going through this with my son as he was looking at the Our Flag trail badge, and I was quite moved by the history of this national anthem of ours. It was the War of 1812. For those of you that don't know, in 1814, the British had marched into D.C. and burned down the White House, burned down the Capitol. And they were pretty much on a rampage, and things were looking pretty low for the United States. And the British were going to march on Baltimore next, and they had several American prisoners with them. And Francis Scott Key, who was a young lawyer, had gone on a mission of mercy to try to free this prisoner. His name was Dr. Beans. He was a prominent doctor in the Washington, D.C. area. And because he had kind of heard the plans of the bombardment, the British wouldn't really let him go. So he was relegated to a ship in the back of the British flotilla. And as they tried a land attack, and they were repulsed by the fort at Fort McHenry. And when General George Armistead had taken over the running of Fort McHenry, he commissioned a flag, and he said he wanted a flag so large that the British would have no difficulty seeing it from a distance. So he commissioned a local flag maker named Mara Pickinsale to make two flags, one a storm flag and one the garrison flag. And the job was so large for her, and she created such a large flag that she had to enlist the help of her mother, Rebecca, her daughter Carolyn, her two nieces, Eliza and Margaret, and a free African-American apprentice seamstress named Grace Wisher. The flag was so big it weighed 50 pounds, measured 42 by 30 feet, and contained over 40 yards of cloth. The British tried to sail past the fort. The fort gave fire, and for 25 hours, Francis Scott Key saw this fort pummeled as the night took over and twilight faded. And the last he saw was 25 hours of cannon fire. And when he awoke, or when the sun rose, he wrote the first words that came to his mind as he saw the following sight: "Oh, say, can you see, by the dawn's early light, what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight over the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming. And the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave over the land of the free and the home of the brave?" And you know, we've heard that, we've all sang it at the sporting events, but I was also moved by the fourth stanza, which I knew was there, but I, to be honest, had never memorized. But it goes like this: "Oh, thus be it ever when freemen shall stand between their loved homes and the war's desolation. Blessed with victory and peace, may the heaven rescue land praise the power that hath made and preserved us a nation. Then conquer we must when our cause it is just, and this be our motto: in God is our trust. And the star-spangled banner in triumph shall wave over the land of the free and the home of the brave." All right, let's go into some introductions real fast. John, we have John Hearing on the line. John is our acting point man. He took over for John Slagboom, who stepped down last year. John, you're in the Washington area, right?
Yeah, I'm actually in the Northwest in the Seattle area, but I also am the acting point man for Oregon Trail, and I am the Trail Life regional team lead for the West Coast. So I really need to shed one of these jobs. So we're going to talk about that later.
We'll talk about that later. I don't think we have Mike Hickenbotham on the line, but he is one of our direct service advisors. Hey, it's Jerry.
Yes, I'm here.
All right, Jerry. We'll get to you guys in a second. I'm going to go and move that off the screen there so we can get back to the slide. Jim Martin is one of our direct service advisors, and then of course Jerome, who just popped online, is one of our direct service advisors as well. And then I'm at the bottom there. I'll be handling the round table here and and any general noise and troublemaking that I can get into. So there are. I'll pop this slide back on if anyone needs these contact info later. Happy to do that for you guys. So that's the area staff. Why don't we really quick kind of go through the list? Looks like we've got 14 people on. So why don't you? We'll start from the very top and move our way down and kind of sound off your name and who you are and what troop you are and your position. Anybody, anytime now.
Greg McCullough, Troop 3723 from the Branch Church in San Diego. And I help with the Navigators and Adventurers.
I am Brandon Ellis. I'm with Troop Kentucky 35 in Livermore, Kentucky at Buck Creek Baptist Church. I'm the ranger, and I'm just checking out how you guys do this so we can hopefully implement this in Kentucky.
Welcome.
Greg Hosford, Troop 412 down in Temecula Murrieta area, Troop Master, charge of the Navigators and Adventurers. I'm here with Les Cochran, who's our Chartered Organization Rep / Chaplain, Spencer Carlson, our Committee Chair, and Brian Smith, our Treasurer.
Hello, this is Javier Eck from Child Life Troop 212 in San Gabriel. I'm the core for the troop.
Patrick Gardner. I'm Troop 3304 in Santa Paula. I'm the Troop Master.
Mark Shibata, Troop CA 4673 in Hermosa Beach, and I'm the committee chairperson.
Hi, I'm Ryan Hammer, CA 0110 in Montrose, La Crescenta area. I'm the core and the chaplain. I've got my wife here as well, who is, which roles do you hold? She's our secretary and committee chair. We've basically got two families holding down a board right now. We're just started.
Teresa Waning, I'm the Charter Org rep for San Diego.
Yeah, I'm Tom Tremblay, CA 4673 Hermosa Beach, Troop Master and do everything guy.
I'm Steve Pennington, Troop 611 in Riverside, California. I am the committee chair, head box boy, and bottle washer.
Is that everyone?
I think so.
Okay, so I'm in addition to my role as General Troublemaker and Roundtable Wrangler, I am also Troop Master of Troop 1199 in Camarillo, California, and also hold many hats, much like Steve, Chief Bottle Washer, and all the rest. So, all right, let's move on. Announcements. Who knows the announcement song? Anybody?
Teresa does.
So one of the fun traditions that I brought over from BSA. Nobody really likes announcements. If anybody's perfectly honest, they're going to say they don't like the announcements. So we've started the singing a song. Anytime any leader who's up front says the word announcements, every one of the boys will start singing.
Announcements.
That's it.
No.
Announcements.
What a
terrible
horrible
death
way
to
to
die. A terrible death to die. What a terrible death
way
to be talked to death.
What a horrible
Death.
way
A
to
terrible
die.
way to die. Yeah.
So,
Okay.
and quite
Slight
honest,
word variations are pretty close.
Yeah. So, that's a fun little tradition you can add to your troop. If you look it up on the internet, there's probably literally about 99 different verses to that, and you start adding one every month, teaching your boys that, and no leader will dare say the word announcements ever again. And you'll start hearing things like tidbits of information and the A word and stuff like that. And so, like I said, fun little tradition, and you keep it up for a good year or two, and pretty soon you'll have quite the little oral tradition going on in your troop. So, okay, so upcoming training, real quick. This is the first of a future upcoming roundtable training. We will generally be holding these on the second Tuesday of every month at 8:30 p.m. We're holding it this month on the first Tuesday because we thought holding it on Valentine's Day would be a really bad idea and make every trail life mom and wife hate us. So we skipped it this month, but following up next month, we will be holding them on the second Tuesday every month. We are going to be on a rotating training schedule to accommodate all leaders. So this month's training schedule at the end of the meeting, we're going to be Jerome is going to be teaching on committee members and committee member specific training. And then next month we're going to be going into a navigator and adventure leaders. That will be led by Jim Martin. And then April, Mike Hickenbotham will be teaching us on the Woodland Trail leaders. So, like I said, the idea for these roundtables is to get as many of these leaders together so that we can have a little bit of a give and take in terms of it's not just an information dump. Anybody can send you guys a big email and send it out and hope all the information gets out. But the idea of a roundtable is we all learn together, we all give and take. And that can only happen with a decent amount of people. So if you're on the committee or you're a program lead, feel free to encourage your various leaders to be joining their appropriate roundtables, and hopefully we can make this into a really nice thing. Yeah. Any questions on upcoming roundtables? Okay. All right, Trail Ready. I was asked by I'm not even sure who asked me to do that. Someone from National sent me a text. I got a random text about 20 minutes before the start of the thing.
Oh, that was Carolyn.
Was that Carolyn?
Yeah.
So Trail Ready, for those of you guys who don't know what the Trail Ready Leadership Conference is, it's coming up in May, let's see, where is it? It's in Riverside, May 12th through the 14th. $34 for the early bird registration up to April 13th. $49 late registration. I want to say there's a walk-in fee as well if you come even later than that. But the Trail Ready Leadership Conferences is the entire national staff, or a large bulk of them, plus regional and area leaders, are going to be down holding a full weekend conference to prepare you guys for training. I was bugging. We'll be talking about this here in a second, but I was really kind of asking around, asking when our next equip training was going to be, because I was really looking forward to it. And then they popped this one out, and I wasn't expecting it, but I'm really looking forward to it. So, hoping that the rest of you guys can make it. As far as the topics that they're going to be having at this event, building your troop ministry, position-specific learning tracks for all the direct contact leaders, your committee members, area team members, prospects, and it's open to adult troop and area TLUSA current members and areas prospects only. So there's no youth activities. There's no babysitting and there's no youth activities for the actual trailmen. So make sure that you guys get signed up. Hopefully you've already sent this out. I think, John, you sent out an email with regards to this to the area mailing list. Hopefully that all the troops have already gotten this information out to their various leaders and encourage them to sign up. John, did you already send that out?
Yeah, it's gone out. We'll probably go ahead and send it out again. And I think if I haven't put up on the Facebook page, we'll do that. This is a pretty unique opportunity, guys, because this is a chance to get face-to-face. And while it's nice having the national guys there, it's probably more valuable for you to get face-to-face with guys that are actually doing these jobs and running successful troops and hearing why they're being successful. What are they doing that's working? So this is a pretty unique chance. This is, by the way, not the same as Equip. Equip's a different animal. We'll talk about that later, but this is a really cool thing. So sign up.
Don, Josh, are you taking questions on this?
Absolutely. Questions on the Trail Ready Leadership Conference. Go ahead.
Yeah, do you know if they've made any arrangements with a hotel or a campsite nearby?
There is arrangements there at the church, which actually, Steve Pennington, you actually might be able to address this better, but it's my understanding they've made arrangements at the church that if you want to crash at the church, that's an option. And I think there's separate rooms being set aside. At least I think that's the plan, the last I heard from Mike Wyatt.
I'll chime in real quickly. I have not heard that from Mike yet. I know he's going to be including some of our leadership as sort of the help staff and guiding people around. There are some hotels relatively close, and there is a place in town where you can camp not too far from me. So if you want details, I will press Mike for that and see if we can't get that sent out very soon.
Thank you, Steve.
And Steve, would you say even if you get any leaders that say they don't want to commit to a full weekend, just to commit to coming on Saturday and making it a day trip would be worthwhile for their time?
Definitely. Looking at the national staff that's going to be there, having an opportunity to meet them and put some names and faces together, it would be worth your time. I would encourage you guys to bring as many of your leaders as you can, encourage them to come and make a day of it if they can't commit to the weekend. There are places nearby, if you need to run and grab a bite to eat. I'm not sure what the plans are for that yet. Mike has kind of meted out just a little bit of information to the leadership team so far.
I can actually answer that. So the plan of attack right now is your registration does include a continental breakfast, and it includes a lunch, box lunch sort of thing. It does not include meals on Friday night nor your Saturday night dinner.
Okay.
They won't starve. And reportedly there will be coffee there. At least that's the report.
Coffee is.
I have a quick question.
Go ahead.
What does Sunday's program look like? Sunday is Mother's Day.
Yeah, and I gather it's just an optional day if people need to crash and stay over and then travel. That's the thought process. As I remember from looking at the agenda, they discussed having a get-together prayer service. I don't know if that's been deconflicted with the church yet, so I wouldn't commit too much to that. So the content is really over Saturday at 5 p.m.
And Friday night, I haven't really looked into it that much. What is Friday night?
Friday night is really that keynote. What you basically see there, it's called Building Your Troop Ministry, and that's going to be a keynote speech, particularly by Rob Green, Director of National Field Service, talking about, just about that. I can't tell exactly what he's going to say because he kind of goes off the cuff sometimes. So I know what he titled it. And then Saturday is primarily a mixture of what you see, the learning tracks. There'll be 3 separate tracks. A track for your direct contact leaders, a track for what I'd call the behind the scenes people that keep the wheels on, and then your area team will have a 3rd track as well. This is for the DSAs and the area team members or people that want to be part of the area team. So, and then interspersed between those will be separate presentations. Mark Hancock's going to be out there. He's going to talk about the state of trail life. Where's trail life at today? So
the only reason why I'm asking about Friday is that coming from where we're at to where it's going to be, you almost have to leave at about 10 in the morning to get out there.
Yeah, well, I tried to
Traffic-
convince them of that. I tried to explain that. It looks like, an inch on the map, but, trying to get from one side of, one side of the Los Angeles area, metro area to another is problematic. So, but that's the reason why, if you miss something, Friday night's the thing to miss. Saturday is the thing to not miss.
Okay, great. Thanks. Thank you for that. I can sell that real well. Thank you.
Any further questions on the leadership conference? Okay, moving on. More training. John, this was your slide. Do you want to speak to this?
Yeah, so I just want to go very quickly over some training opportunities that make sure people have heard about these. One of my jobs, by the way, as point man, is just try to make sure you guys get connected up to resources. By the way, if you don't know about it, I'm a volunteer just like the rest of y'all. The difference is I don't run a troop. I basically work with all the troops in Southern California as well as up in the Pacific Northwest areas. So that's kind of my job. The real resources that are out there to help you guys, especially when you get started, are really these online resources. Troop Track, and particularly that National Resources page, is just that's the library of Nirvana. Now that will be moving eventually to that Trail Life Connect, but for right now, that's where it resides. The other thing is, if you haven't gone and checked it out and kicked the tires of Trail Life University, you need to. Trail Life University is hosted there on the traillifeconnect.com site, and it is a series of short videos that are basically broken down by whatever your job is. So there's a set of videos if you're a troop master, and there's a set of videos if you're a committee chairperson, and these are just a wealth of information. Most of the videos are about 4 to 5 minutes long, and they're just hugely helpful to get you up to speed on actually getting your troops going. The next bullet. Once you've got that under your belt, you want to start thinking about what we call basic training or base camp training. Now, there is an online version, but we're trying to get things set up so we can actually offer local training by area volunteers, particularly DSAs. When I do it here in the Northwest, or my DSAs do it here in the Northwest, it takes anywhere from 1 to 4 hours, and it's a chance to sit down and just really go through the program. How do you put together a budget? How do you put together a year's program? How does trail badge thinger work? Who's supposed to be a trail badge, a trail badge mentor, things like that. So, talk to your DSAs, and particularly if you're just setting up a troop, that's a great thing to do, and get all your troop leaders together and take all at the same time. Last but not least is equip. We're still working on it. We have a number of people that have gone to equip back in South Carolina and are now trained and able to offer equip in the SoCal area. We don't have enough. One of the things that I recently got is permission from the national organization to now be an equip trainer here on the West Coast. And so what I'm going to be trying to figure out how to do is, how do I create more trainers in each one of these areas? And so that's one of the things I'm working on. I got an event coming up here shortly in Oregon. We're going to be basically trying to create some equip trainers in Oregon and Washington and California and Alaska and Hawaii. So that's one of the things I'm working on. Equip is not, by the way, advanced training. Equip is basic training. Anybody that's a direct contact leader really needs to try to get to equip, because it's going to teach you how a troop is really supposed to operate. It's not quite like Wood Badge, which in the old program would have been really advanced training. This is really the nuts and bolts basics. So, next, is that it?
Yeah, I think that was it. In fact, I think this is the last slide for when it comes to training as well. I'd just like to add, as far as, from my experience in not only Boy Scouts, but the trail life, you cannot afford to not have your leaders trained, and every opportunity you can and every piece of resource that you can get in the hands of your leaders will pay off tenfold. So definitely take advantage of these if you haven't already, and get them in the hands of your leader. If you obviously get them into your hands first and watch them and what's the word I'm looking for? Take advantage of them yourself, and then make sure that your individual leaders have them as well. So, all right, point man update. John, summer adventures.
we got a couple summer adventures available to highlight to you. The first one, of course, is Camp Glorieta. There is not going to be a summer adventure back in West Virginia. There's only going to be the summer adventure out in Camp Glorieta on the west. Sorry, let me rephrase that. The one in West Virginia is not going to take place. The one in New Mexico is going to take place. It is June 18th through the 24th. You can see the cost there. And for those folks that went over and did that last year, they had a blast. They had a really good time doing it. That is one option. The other option I'd like to point out to you is something we've been doing regionally. We've now run these now for the last couple of years. Next slide, kind of jump ahead here. It's what we call a regional roundup. And I misspelled roundup because I was typing fast. Sorry about that. The theme of this one is a Mountain Trailman Rendezvous. This is going to be up in the Washington State area. It's going to take place July 30th to August 2nd, so slightly shorter, but the cost is way lower. One of the challenges with Camp Glorieta we've run into is people find it not very affordable. And so this is the event that was set up by volunteers, and they basically got it rolling last year. They ran it down to Oregon. This year it's kind of moved up to Washington. And it's really open to all trailmen, but the cost is $65. Now, that does not include food, but it's basically designed so it's a really affordable program. So they won't be doing paintball, but instead they'll be doing fly fishing and hiking and tomahawk throwing and rock climbing and cave exploring, and they have it's basically they're going to have mountain man reenactors coming in that are going to be running a mountain man camp. So it'll be fun. So these are two summer adventure options. I really encourage you to get your troop committed to going out and doing something for a summer adventure, even if it's only a troop-based summer adventure. This is what really brings that program home to the boys. And I'll get on my hobby horse one more time and say, your summer adventure should not be about just earning trail badges. Your summer adventure should be about the young men having an adventure, getting to really challenge themselves and do something cool. And if they happen to earn some trail badges while they're doing that, that's cool. So, okay.
Cool.
Questions about the summer adventure options?
Or questions about the last training slide we did as well. I apologize, I moved past that before asking for questions.
I have a kind of a question and a comment. The equip that we did last year, I believe it was. Well, it was definitely last year. Is that similar to what they did at the National? I believe Steve probably could answer that question the best, I think, but I'm not sure.
Actually, Mike would be able to answer that better because he attended the original Equip 64 back at Camp Aiken. But it was basics, so leaders could be trained to know how to lead the boys in the outdoors, much like what we did. Our troop was very fortunate that most of our leadership had come over from BSA and Cubs, and we had scouting experience, and it enabled us to share that with. We know some troops that had guys who had no scouting experience, and it was a lot of fun to see everybody learning. I would love to see us do another equip here in Southern California, but I don't know how we get that on the calendar. I haven't talked to Mike about that.
So that's actually my job. So I need to poke at Mike and John Slagboom and the guys that are equipped trainers and get them out to offer that. I know Slagboom's back in Wisconsin right now, so that's a challenge. But that's the other thing I'm trying to do is I'm trying to, again, raise up some other people that can be trainers down in the SoCal area too. So we can take some of the weight off these guys. We have the same problem, by the way, in Northern Cal and the same problem in Oregon. Oregon, we got 2 trainers. Washington, we got 2. There's just not enough. So.
John, it says you have interest from troops as far away as California and Texas. Have you had anybody from California actually sign up for the Mountain Man, right?
Yeah. Yeah, we got one of the troops up in Northern Cal has already signed up, sent their money in. So, yeah.
Okay.
It's a haul for you guys. It's quite a haul, but it's just an equally distant haul to go to New Mexico. So these are options to I think throw to your troops and say let's commit to doing something.
Right.
John, was that Chris that signed up for Washington?
Oh, you betcha. He was all over that. He was the first troop to sign up.
Yeah, he's in Northern Cal, so not quite as the distance from Southern Cal.
I have driven the 1,300 miles from San Diego to Seattle many, many, many times in my Navy career. I know all those miles very well. So, yeah.
God bless the I-5. Okay, what's next? That one's you too, John.
Yeah, so this is just a real quick update of where we're at. We actually now are getting a number of expressions of interest in pre-charters or prospective troops. You can kind of see those red stars. We got a good number of troops going. We got a lot of communities that need a trail life troop. You know, we need some more trail life troops out there. And we got a lot of parents that are basically waiting for a troop to get launched in their area. So keep your eyes open. And if you hear of a church that wants to start a trail life troop, send them our way. So, by the way, Jerry, I'm sorry your name's not on this this thing because I was in a hurry and I forgot to type it in. So please take no offense. Here's my virtual trailman's handshake to you. Anyway, you know, especially now, like I said, the response from the Boy Scouts' latest action, the phones are starting to ring off the hook. Especially troops, when you get an inquiry, you need to respond quickly. I think it's really important. I think we do a disservice to these people. We don't respond back to them quickly. So, you know, as soon as you get that email, try to fire them back at least something. Say, yes, we got it. Yes, we'll be in touch with you. And
Vegas is considered part of SoCal, huh?
Yeah, we have taken the Nevada area and split it. And Southern California, basically, you know, Southern Nevada really, it's closer to the Los Angeles area than it is to Reno. And so we split Nevada in half, and we're going to go ahead and lump Southern Nevada in with SoCal.
Okay. All righty. Any questions on this slide, guys? Probably not. Just a picture. All right. All right.
Yeah, well, this is fast, guys. Okay, we got some DSAs. We always need more. We'll certainly try to recruit more people. And you don't have to be an expert in trail life to be a direct support advisor. You simply want to help. You simply want to be somebody wants to help trail life troops be better. So, next slide.
How before we move on, how do we? Is there like a training process you got to go through, or?
Yep, there's actually a training process, and what I actually will do is I delegate that to the experienced unit service chairs and DSAs up and down the West Coast, and they basically train you.
Oh, okay.
Mike Carter is the DSA for the Northwest area. Bryce Davis is the DSA, or the unit service chair, sorry. Bryce Davis, the unit service chair for Oregon. We got Rob Garcia is the unit service chair for Northern Cal, and these guys know how to do it. They've got the been there, done that T-shirt. They can help train a new person how to do this job. And of course, the cadre of current DSAs down in Southern Cal too.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. Hey, by the way, you don't have to be the Southern California area. You can be any area name you want. So we're gonna offer up a chance to you guys nominate the name, and the person that nominates the winning name is going to get a door prize. You get to be the point man.
Well, no? Just as long as you spell Junipero Cerro correctly.
Yeah, I get it. So, yeah. The point being is, you know, if somebody wants to come up with a creative name, let's do that. These are wide open things. You know, same with the round table. You know, you can call it round table, you can call it chin wag, you can call it anything you want to. You know, there's no standard that's basically placed on us by trail life. So, come up with something creative. I kind of like Junipero Cerro because I like the idea of naming it after a missionary that basically explored the unknown. You know?
Well, I could probably put a poll out or send something out on the Facebook page.
I just want to kind of spark some thoughts. And the other thing is we are still looking for a permanent point man. Joshua and I have talked about some candidates, which we won't bring up names, but you know we do need somebody at some point to step up to be the point man. I am stretched a little bit beyond my ability to handle this number of areas and this number of troops. So,
John, you
okay,
also
I'll shut up.
you had advancement chairman on there as well. What's the what's that position?
Advancement chair, for the most part, just handles freedom wards. That's really what that person's doing. They're not processing a lot of paperwork. Really, it's just a matter of handling the freedom wards, being an advisor for the freedom ward candidates, helping to set up and organize the freedom ward to review, and of course, in the end, making sure the paperwork is correctly processed and goes into the home office correctly.
Okay. Anybody have questions on the help that John needs? Okay. Okay, this is the part where we start talking about community member training. So I will give everyone a time to jump off if they're not staying for the specific training. But I guess Jerry, you go by Jerry, right? Not Jerome.
Either one. It's fine.
The Jerome's probably what's on your birth certificate, right?
That's right, on my passport.
So, all right.
Hey, Josh, before we get started on that, are you going to leave some time for Teresa for the Warrior Games?
Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Yeah, Teresa, you know what? I do apologize. Let's go ahead and throw that up there. Teresa, is there anything we need to discuss with regards to Warrior Games?
Yeah, I mean, we haven't really had much of a committee, and everyone's really been responding well. So I think we've got our camporee style activities, and I think we're just going to do it like we did last year and just ask each troop to make sure Saturday morning they set up their camporee activity, and we'll encourage the trailmen just to go around and participate. I do still need a volunteer for Sunday devotion. Jerry had done it last year, so if Jerry looks familiar, he did our Sunday morning devotion last year. I'd like to see if we can get somebody who would be willing to do it again this year. So, be thinking about that.
Crickets. All we're hearing is crickets.
Teresa, just as a side note, Timmy's working on a couple of songs, and I'll get those to you maybe tomorrow or something.
Okay.
And he said he was fine with your email, so I just want to leave it at that for now.
Okay, thank you.
Teresa, no promises, but let me talk to my adult advisor who's advising our side for that event, and see if he would be willing to run the devotion.
Yeah, I mean, 10, 15 minutes max. It doesn't have to be long at all.
Is there a specific subject you want covered? 5 rocks of manhood, or?
I will leave that open to whatever the Lord leads for whoever is volunteering.
Right. Okay. All right. Like I said, no promises, but I'll go ahead and follow up with him and see what he says.
Okay, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Teresa, how are you doing on getting the money collected, and when is the drop dead date to get the money in?
Good question, because we've been in the middle of a charter transfer, and believe it or not, our checking account was just opened up today. I dropped I need $10,000 by next weekend, and wow, did my bank account get opened quickly.
I have a question for you, because on the thing that you sent out, it says to make the check payable to such and such and such and such. I don't have the paper in front of me, but yeah. I already have the check made out and signed. Is that not a good account to have it made to?
No, that's perfect.
Okay, I can locate the paperwork, but that is the right name, right?
Yes, right name, right address, and everything.
Okay.
I was operating on faith.
Amen.
Yep.
So for everybody else that hasn't paid yet, get your money in.
Yeah, I've already ordered our giveaway. Do you guys want to know, or should I keep it a secret?
Keep it a secret.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree. Surprise.
Secret.
Because otherwise we're going to spill the beans, and then the boys will know, and then that's no fun.
Okay. Yep. I just need a Sunday morning diva, and I think everything else will fall into place.
And Teresa, I didn't hear a drop dead date. If somebody wants to add after we've already registered, is there a date that's too late for that?
If someone wants to add on site, as long as they pay with cash, because I'll use that to pay the paintball park. But otherwise, for a check, I guess the drop dead date would be the Monday before. So what date is that? I don't have a calendar. That would
next Monday?
Is that next Monday?
I think so.
The 13th?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, it's around the corner. Yeah, Monday. Monday's the drop dead day, because then that would give me enough time to get to the bank, deposit the check, and make sure there's no issues.
Okay, so Monday the 13th is the drop dead date.
Yep.
Teresa, I did have a question from the guy I'm going to ask if he who wants to do the Sunday devotion. But we were wondering how because we didn't go last year, so we were wondering how the camporee activities kind of fit into the schedule. Isn't the bulk of the time taken up with paintball activities?
No, paintball doesn't start until 1 o'clock. So what we do is Saturday morning we wake up and we meet up at the they have an amphitheater. Now here's a caveat. Usually we're the only ones in that park, but this year because it falls on President's Day weekend, the entire park is full. So, and we can't make reservations for the amphitheater. It's first come, first served. So we need to be prepared to be flexible. But usually what happens is in the morning we meet up at the amphitheater, we do announcements, then don't start singing. Then we go down into the campground. The loop that we reserved has a huge open field in the middle. And that's where the camporees take place. And that usually goes from about, I don't have the agenda in front of me, but I think it was like 9:30, 10 o'clock to about 12. So it's just 2 hours or so of activities. Then people have lunch, and then about 12:15 you want to head out to the paintball park. So I think it was 9:30 to 11:30 we do camporee. Then you have lunch, and around 12:15 you want to get on the road because paintball is from 1 to 5.
Gotcha. Okay. All right.
And the park is about 30 to 45 minutes away depending on traffic.
Anybody else have any more questions about the paintball Warrior Games?
Yeah, Teresa, this is Patrick Gardner from Santa Paula. We haven't been to this campground, and like some other troops, we've got a waiting list. And I'm wondering, when they say that the sites are 8 people max, is that 8 people if you squeeze them in? Is that 8 people with a lot of room to spare? Or is it vary too much by the site?
It varies by the site. If you're on the inside loop, it's a lot of room because we have that big open field. If you're on the outside of the loop, the spaces tend to be a little bit smaller because on one side you have a canyon and then on the other you have other sites backing up to it.
Okay.
This is our 3rd year. The first 2 years, the camp hosts didn't seem too concerned about head count. What they did really care about and were really sticklers about were parking the cars.
Right.
They ticketed cars that did not have their payment showing, their receipt taped to their window showing that they've paid. So I had several people get tickets the first year. So you want to make sure that whoever's coming in, they're paying, because it's an honor system. Half the time there might be somebody in the booth, but the other half of the time it's an honor system. They have a little kiosk where you go and you pay and you get a receipt. You're supposed to tape that to your car. Some people don't realize it. They drive right past the kiosk and then they wake up in the morning with the ticket on their car. So you guys want to watch for that.
And Teresa, Patrick's troop and my troop are probably some of the furthest troops that have to drive to get there on a Friday evening. Is there a do they close the gates at all? Do we have to be there by a certain time before we can get in?
Excellent question. In the info packet, I did put I'll pull it up and take a look and see. Yeah, they do have a gate. Whether they close it or not, I'm not 100% sure. Let me look that up real quick while you guys carry on, and then I'll come back and report what I find.
Okay.
Also, Teresa, I just looked it up. I looked up the packet, and you've got the camporee activities beginning at 10, and the departure beginning for paintball at 12.
Yeah, so I think the camporee is like an hour and a half or so.
So Teresa, if we've got a couple of campsites on the inside loop, do you think it would be an okay idea to try to stretch the 8-man per site limit, or is it better just to stick to that, to be on the safe side?
I'm planning on stretching it.
All right.
Because I've got more people than I had, but I'm telling my families, let's keep the tent count low so it's not too obvious.
Mm-hmm.
So you're saying we're going to ask for forgiveness instead of permission?
Exactly.
Okay.
Okay, that helps a lot. Thanks, Teresa.
Yeah. And like I said, in the last 2 years, me personally, I didn't run into any issues with them asking about head count. It was the cars they really seemed to be concerned with.
Got it. Okay.
Teresa, we may have an extra campsite. We talked about that at our meeting on Thursday. We didn't really get a final answer on that. I don't know, Mark, if you want to chime in on that. I'm not sure which one we would want to give up, but we have 25 going. We have 4 sites. So
oh, wow. Okay.
We're covered.
Okay. Yeah, I know there's a couple of troops that are looking for sites. And so if you have any extras, let me know, and then I can facilitate coordinate with the other guys who are looking for a space.
Mark, do you know what sites we have offhand?
No, I don't.
We have. Oh, I was like you were asking me. It's like we have the entire inside loop except for one spot that I can't account for. Can't connect to me. So I'm hoping that person's ready for what they're going to experience.
Hello.
Hey, Teresa, it's Greg Hosford.
Yes, Greg.
I think we'll be able to give up a site too. We had 4, and we can probably do it with 3.
Okay. Yeah, I think I know Steve Valley was looking for room, and Patrick, I think, said he needed some room, and then we had Huntington Beach, who said they had but they waited too long and all the sites were taken, but I told them we might still be able to fit your guys in if you want, so we can probably fill it up.
Teresa, this is Javier from Troop 212. Just a quick question. I don't know if I got the information packet with the paintball prices and all that. Would you mind resending that to me? I'm not sure if I got it. I'm looking through my email here. But
okay, I'll send it to you right now.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
So we have 80.
Go ahead.
Yeah, just real quick. Sorry, Josh. Real quick, we have 82, 84, 87, and 88. And we'll try to figure out what we're going to do. I'll let you know, Teresa, in the next day or two. I'm going to meet with Mark tomorrow night, and we'll talk about it.
Okay.
All right. Anything else for Teresa on Warrior Games? Okay, Jerome or Jerry, you're up. This is yours. So this is committee member training here. If you're a trail guide or whatnot, you're welcome to stay. But this training will be specifically for committee members. So let me remember where my slideshow is. All right.
Hey, I got the hours. It's 10 p.m. when they say the day the park closes.
I'm sorry, Teresa. We've moved on from that subject. You're going to have to wait. I'm just kidding.
Don't give her a hard time.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for putting this organizational chart up. How many units are still with us, and who has left? Anyone left?
Yeah, there's 14 attendees still on the list. So.
Oh, good. Okay. Looking at this charter, you see institutional head, charter, organizational representative, and you see the various committee positions. Committee chair, advancement chair, treasurer. Are there any units out there that have all these positions filled? General, I'd like to ask some questions here. What is the general average of number of committee members that you do have on your unit? Who has more than 4?
Troop 1199 in Camarillo does.
Yeah.
Is that 1199?
Yeah, in Camarillo we have more than 4.
And what positions do you not have filled on your committee?
From this list, we don't have a health and safety. We don't have fundraiser. We don't have a community service chair or a secretary. Those are probably our big ones.
Mm-hmm. You know that when you brought that health and safety up, I'm looking at the. I don't know. Are you seeing me on your video there?
Yeah.
Yes.
I printed out the health and safety guide. It's like 250 pages, and I'm looking at the troop committee book, and they don't even bring it up as a position, health and safety. They have the general 4, but that's pretty much it. Well, today we're going to have a little discussion about how to recruit committee members.
Sounds good.
Who has done a good job in recruiting committee members already? Anybody?
I think Mark's done a pretty good job. Mark Shabana, I think he's done a pretty good job.
What is Mark? What have you done to recruit? How do you do it?
Basically, we just ask.
Aha. Very good. And how do you know who to ask?
Well, we just try to pick from the adults that we have.
Very good.
That's all.
You're very good. Well, let me ask this question. I'm going to say it to the whole group. What is the advantage of having a full committee?
Your troop master can relax.
That's what I was just going to say. Less work for me.
Absolutely. Very good. Let me ask, what are some of the challenges for recruiting a full committee?
Also having an AHG troop.
All right, that's very. But what are the challenges for recruiting a full committee? Since you all don't have a full committee.
Work schedule.
Yeah, people don't have time.
Okay. What's some other reasons?
People don't feel worthy, or they don't think they're worthy of being able to step up to these jobs.
Very good. Any other reasons?
Yeah, others just feel like it's going to be too much time or too much to handle based on what they're already doing.
Yeah, all right. Any others?
It's only an hour a week.
Yeah, right.
People are lazy and non-committal.
Okay.
That's the bottom line.
Getting enough people to actually even show up and show interest in it. I mean, at the troop, talking to people, the dads that show up, just trying to find people.
Okay. Any other reasons?
I found in my troop, it's basically the Peter principle of the 20-80 rule. That 80% won't typically help regardless. They'll come up with a number of different reasons, like Tom said, or the rest of you guys have all said. They all have their reasons, but ultimately it comes down to you've got 20% of the people that are going to do 80% of the work, and that's just the way it is. So grow the size of your troop and get more people, so that 20% figure is a bigger number.
Any others? Okay. Well, there's 3 types of volunteers. The first type of volunteer that I've discovered over the last 35 years being involved with Scouting and on the executive board of Scouting on the membership for the organization, the first volunteer is I call them the John the Baptist types. Yeah. Those are the people that will volunteer under any circumstance. Probably all of you guys are John the Baptist types. You don't even have to be asked. You just show up and you do the work. The second group of volunteers are, I call them the apostles. They have to be asked. And they get called and they come. And the last group typically are what I call the martyrs. Those are the slowest runners. And typically what happens is sometimes the John the Baptist volunteers and the apostles end up being martyrs because they volunteer time after time, and like you said, they do all the work. They're the 20%, and then eventually what happens is they burn out. And I happen to know there was one particular scouting program where the troop only had 10 boys. And I asked them, why do you only have 10 boys? He said, because that's all I can fit in my van. So what we're going to talk about here is how to fill up all these different spots. And I'd like, Josh, how much time do I have?
Well, we had it originally planned for an hour-long meeting, but if everyone's okay, maybe we can go. You're the last part of the program, so if everyone's okay, maybe we extend it back another 15 minutes. Teresa took all the time with Warrior Games, so we'll have to extend a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, that's unfortunate because membership is one of the most important areas, and I can already see there's a hole in the organization, and that is we don't have full committees. So I don't have a PowerPoint presentation, but anybody who wants the materials that I share with you tonight, you can forward your email, or Josh, I can send them to you by email, and then you can get them out to everybody.
Jerry, I took your notes that you sent me via email, and I did create a couple slides past this one. I've got I've got the 5 required, and then I've got a bunch of the suggested, and then nice to have kind of positions to have on there as well.
Yeah, did you have the did you get the talent survey?
I did not get the talent survey.
Okay, so I can get that to everybody. I call it a Trail Life Adult Survey. They call it the Parent Talent Survey in Scouting. And who's not familiar with the Parent Talent Survey from Scouting? Are you all familiar with that?
No.
Okay. Typically, when you sign up new people to register in the unit, I always attach, as a scout leader myself, is I attach a talent survey and make that a requirement. It's very difficult to recruit people if you don't know what their talents are. And one of the reasons why people don't typically volunteer is because, like you said, they want to know how much time commitment is going to be involved. And one of the best ways to recruit people is to match their talents. Oh, yes, you have it there. The adult talent gifts. Well, that's very good.
Sorry, Josh. I stole the presenter because I happen to have this in my files.
I was like, whoa, what's going on here?
Yeah, well, that's very good. That's one of them. That's a very good one. It's very difficult to recruit people you don't know what their hobbies are. People like to share their hobbies or their talents. And that's where you start. You have to ask yourself among your core group before you I want to add a committee member to the organizational chart, and that is, do you guys have a membership chair?
Oh.
No, not yet.
Yeah, the membership chair I think most critical because that's the person that is like the HR director of a company. They make sure that all the positions are filled. They look out for charter renewal, and they look for new members, and they also help out with adult recruitment. And this person is generally a gregarious person, very affable, the kind of fun person to be around. Probably has orange gloves and sings songs, and he's very motivated, it's the kind of person you want to be around. I'm sure that all of you guys are the type of people you want to be around, but you need to designate someone specifically, and it doesn't have to be the troop master. So I would take that troop committee organizational chart, and that you need to fill every one of those spots. And what's the ratio of parents to committee members?
In a perfect world, it should be 1-to-1, Jerry.
Yeah, that's right. So in other words, when I was a scout leader years ago, every adult that walked in the door that had a child or a youth, they were all on the committee. They all registered. You all signed them up. And if you have a treasurer, then you need to have an assistant treasurer. If you've got 3 people that do work in treasurer, then have 3 people for treasurer, but you need backup. You need an assistant troop master, an assistant to the assistant troop master, and you should just have the ethos that everyone is going to fill out a talent survey, and based on that talent survey, we're going to go and look for apostles, because there ain't that many John the Baptist out there. And if we don't do this, if we don't look for apostles, because there's not enough John the Baptist, then we become the third group called martyrs. And I don't think there's anything such a thing as a martyr. It's only volunteers for martyrdom. And it's very unfortunate. Many units will collapse because the 1 or 2 leaders that were the core leaders of the committee, they moved on, or their youth, their trailmen grew up, and they left the unit, and then the unit died because there wasn't a consensual a group of people to take over for where they need to be. So you have to write down what do you need, and it looks like all the units need committee members. So how do you communicate with them? Well, the best way you communicate with them is to match their talents to the positions that you need filled. And one of the best ways to ease somebody into a new position is to ask them to be an advisor on the particular skill set. Let's say, for example, a mother. I was at Teresa's meeting last night, and one of the mothers told me that she runs a music studio and a dance studio. So let me ask the group, what position could that person possibly fill with experience as music and dance?
Trail badge mentor for any of the music style merit badges or trail badges.
That's right. And when you have a program that deals with that, rather than just making her a committee member immediately, maybe she could be the skill trail badge mentor for that particular topic, and she witnesses a very successful experience, and from that successful experience, then you can ask her, gee, do you think you could help be in charge of this or that particular area? But people don't volunteer things they don't know about. There was another parent there. We have one treasurer at Teresa's unit, and I asked the parent. I says, who does the bills in your house? She says, I do. Great. Maybe she could be an assistant treasurer. We already have one treasurer. Maybe we could use an assistant one. But we can't ask unless we know, and that's why I recommend the adult survey. The other part, too, is have empathy for the adults. And the way you have empathy is by matching their skill sets to what you need. Now, I'd like to open the floor to any questions.
Jerry, this is John. Can I chime in on what I'm showing here? This is actually something I stole from one of the troops that I saw was getting set up. They're running their troop as a co-op, and they did exactly what Jerry's describing. This was actually a poster board. It was really huge, and they put in the names of the people that were already serving, but then they also put in other spots, and those are the things you see in yellow. A lot of these are made-up jobs. You'll never see these jobs in any trail life documentation, but what they wanted to do is they wanted to make it so there was a place for everybody to serve, and that they felt like there was a place to serve. Now, some jobs you're not just going to take any volunteer for. Like your advisor for your adventure patrol, they weren't just going to stick any name in there. That person actually had to be really up to the job. And so they would take that person, they put it on a sticky, that person's name, of somebody they felt fit that job, and they'd stick it right there into that position that says trail guide for the adventures, and nominate that person. So that person could then see themselves filling that job. This was a really effective technique, and so it's a troop of 70. I think they got 75 trailmen, and they've got 40-some registered adults. And
wow,
you know, they're firing on all cylinders, and this is a really effective technique. So, okay, I'll shut up.
I highly recommend it. That would be a good tool to add right on with the adult survey. But I still think that at the end of the day, when people register to be on the committee, they all, even if they don't register, every adult that walks in that door must fill out a Trail Life adult survey. Because I don't know. Well, we can send you a PDF form. I can send you a copy through the email, and you can design it the way you need it.
We will post that on the Southern California Facebook page in the file section. How's that?
I think it should be required. I don't think you can. I think it should be right up there with youth protection. You know, you walk in the door, you fill this form out. Period.
That would be great. And if you were able to upload the second form that you showed as well, the various different positions and breaking it down so that people can.
Yeah. John, if you'll do that, and I'll send Josh this other one, and you all can have a copy of that. But you got to make that part of your form. You know, I'm really surprised. Even the Boy Scouts of America, they've kind of set that parent-talent survey by the side, and I think that's tragic because every time I go to visit units, no full committees, and I still think you should designate one person as membership chair, and it's got to, maybe he has HR experience, but somebody that knows how to recruit people. It may not be the troop master, it may not be the committee chairperson, but you should have a designated position called membership chair, and the membership chair is in charge of bringing in new youth, recruiting adults to fill the positions, and rechartering, because that's a lot of work. And I think that's pretty much all I wanted to say about committee organization and recruitment.
All right, thank you.
I do have a story to share. Would you guys like to hear a story?
Sure.
Yeah, we'll consider this the staff minute. Go ahead and give us your story.
Wow, thanks. Well, it's a story about empathy and caring about other people. It's a story about two brothers. They were farmers, and they were taking care of the harvest, and they were tending the land. They were leasing the land, and each brother would do the harvest at the end of the season. And one brother went to his home and family, his wife and children, and the other brother was single, and he took his cart and went to his home. And then one evening, one of the brothers, the brother that was married with family, he got to thinking, you know, I'm really concerned about my brother. He's all alone, he's by himself, and we've been splitting the harvest 50-50. I think what I'll do is I will go in the middle of the night and take an extra portion of my harvest and put it in his barn, because he's not going to have anybody to take care of him in his later life. Well, the second brother was having the same kind of thoughts himself in his home. And he said, boy, my poor brother, he has a family and children, and he needs, and we've been sharing the harvest 50-50, and you know, I think what I ought to do is give him an extra portion to take care of his kids and his family. And so that brother went in the middle of the night sometime and loaded up the barn of his brother, and each brother had no idea what the other brother was doing. And after a month of this going on in the evening, one night the two brothers met up with each other in the middle of the night, and looking at their carts, they realized what was going on. They got down from their carts. They embraced each other. Tears were running down their cheeks with the love that they had for each other and the empathy that they cared for one another, because they knew that the other person needed the help. And God looked down on those two brothers, and he saw the love that they shared and the empathy they had for each other. So God was listening to Solomon's prayers. And he told Solomon, you see where those two brothers are embracing and loving each other? That's where I would like you to build my temple. That's just a legend that a rabbi told me. But I think when we recruit volunteers and committee members, we need to have empathy for the people we're recruiting. And empathy is matching talents to their service, the service that you need. And we need to find out what motivates people. And I know that they have a higher goal in life and they answer to a higher calling. And so we need to tap into that. And the best way to tap into it is the way Jesus did. He saw that they were fishermen and he said, hey, if you're fishermen and you know how to fish, well then you could be fisher of men. And I know that Jesus matched talents to the work that he had to do. And that's my little story for tonight.
Thank you, Jerry. Okay, that completes the roundtable for tonight. Does anyone have any final questions or comments they need to share with the group?
I do have one question that may not be appropriate for this group, or not appropriate, no, that's not the right word, but may not be, this may not be the place to ask the question, but it's about Troop Track, if anybody happens to know. Has that been deactivated, or I know it's being moderately deactivated is what I'm being told, but has anything changed? I don't see any changes yet.
Well, did you pay for the monthly or the $99 extension for your troop?
I didn't. We were considering it just because we're a new troop and we kind of want to have everything at our disposal right out of the get-go. But I'm not sure what we will lose when it does go away. I know half of it's going to go away.
Let me go ahead and take it on. This is John. So here's the status of Troop Track. And the backstory behind this was we've been having a lot of trouble with the vendor of Troop Track for quite a while. And it really came to a head right before Christmas. There was a threat that we were going to lose all service, including all of our data, because he's also been our data store since the beginning. Fast forward, there was a lot of lawyer negotiations. We basically bought some time for a limited functionality of Troop Track. What Troop Track is going to continue doing for a while is going to be the registration of members, the tracking of the registration of troops, tracking of advancements, and basically holding on to the repository of documents. And that's about all the Troop Track, the basic functionality of Troop Track is going to be. If you want to do something else, then you're going to basically pay the $99 fee. So that'll actually then continue forward. Okay. If you want, in the long run, to keep Troop Track, you're certainly going to be welcome to. In the meantime, Trail Life basically is investing some money and putting money into creating a set of software that Trail Life will own, as opposed to basically negotiating with somebody that wrote the software. The software that's coming out is the first version that's going to come out is just going to do the basics, what I just described: registration, advancement tracking, hold the documentation. It's not going to do things like host a troop website, allow you to send out a mass troop email, things like that. That's all nice to have functionality that's going to come later on. When the new software rolls out, the ability to track advancements in Troop Track will go away. I mean, you'll still be able to track them, but you're going to hand poke all that information in. There will be no connection between Troop Track and the rest of the software. You can argue about why that is. I'll tell you right now, it boils back to when you got to get lawyers involved, then you don't have a friendly business relationship anymore. So that's the status. When's that all going to take place? They're writing the code. They were hoping to have it done by mid-February. That really wasn't very realistic. I'm figuring mid-March, late March, then that first version will roll out, which will have the limited functionality, and then later on, additional functionality will be added to it.
Wow. Okay. And you guys have developers already, programmers and developers working on it, and you don't need any assistance in that area?
Well, they've actually hired a company to do it, and the company actually is writing the code. And like I said, the big difference is The executables are going to be owned by Trail Life as opposed to owned by this other guy that basically had his own company. So that's the difference.
And you guys don't.
The hosting is going to be done somewhere else. The hosting is not going to be done by the vendor. It's going to be gone to a commercial hosting.
Sure. Okay. And you don't need additional funding either? I mean, that's being covered, or is it going to come to a point where, oh, we don't have enough money to implement all of the things that we want?
There'll be enough money to offer the basic functionality right now. You know, the long term, like I said, adding all the functionality back in that exists in TroopTrack, that's going to take some time, and it's going to depend on available funds. Yeah.
I have one quick comment. For $100 for the year, I think it's really safe insurance to go ahead and pay for the $100. We've been running pretty solid since the inception of Trail Life. We have a lot of data and a lot of information stored on TroopTrack, and it would be absolutely crazy for us not to pay the $100. As a troop master myself, I would pay the $100 out of my pocket just to have the functionality of TroopTrack, to be able to know where everything is, than to try to piecework it together with Excel and Word files and Facebook pages and all kinds of other weird stuff. That's just my own personal comment. We had a meeting on this, and it was overwhelmingly decided to pay the $100.
Yeah.
And I get where you're at on that, Tom. I certainly agree with that to a certain point. And a certain point is when the new software rolls out, then each trooper is going to have to make a decision of what they want. Be very cautious with promises made by the corporation called TroopTrack as to what they will be able to do after that point. I'm not going to get into details. I will tell you there's a lot of bridges burned. But when somebody threatens basically to hold your data hostage, then you have to bring in lawyers to threaten to sue the pants off them. We don't have a great relationship with TroopTrack, and once the new software is out, connection to TroopTrack is going to be problematic.
Yeah, but until that point, I think that we have to, as our troop, we have to stay with it.
Yeah.
And you may want to keep it if for nothing else. Basically, it's a fairly cheap website if you think about it. For $99 a year, that's pretty cheap.
Yeah.
Got a great email functionality which works really well, and tracking financial records and things like that. It works good for troop functions. So
yeah, I mean, Ryan,
maybe good reasons to keep it.
Ryan, I mean, ultimately, it's up to your troop to decide what you're going to do. For the troops that have kind of gotten used to it and have gotten into the groove with TroopTrack, moving away is hard. But for you guys just starting off, you might find that what you don't know is just is fine, and you guys can get along with with what you need to get along with.
Yeah, we don't have a ton of data up there already, but I do like the functionality that we currently have. So as far as you're concerned, the limitations are already there. I mean, they've already decreased the scope of what we have access to at this point already. So what we see now is what we're going to have until the new Trail Life site is up.
I don't know, John. Have they gone into limited operating mode at this point?
No.
Yeah, some of
at least not to my knowledge.
Yeah, I don't think it has backed out.
Yeah, they have. We lost all our functionality.
Oh, you did?
Yes, TroopTrack has gone into limited functionality already. Yes, that's a true statement. I thought you were talking about as the new software rolled out. And
no.
The answer is no.
All right,
so we paid the $100, and there are things that some of the national documents and stuff like that we can't get into anymore. But we've downloaded all that stuff. We have it on Dropbox. That's what we did. We've had all that stuff on Dropbox actually before TroopTrack. So that's where we're at. But I have one last question on that. When the Trail Life software is available, is there going to be some kind of interface to be able to take our information, all of our stored awards and stuff like that, and transfer them over, or is that going to be be done manually?
My guess is that you'll have to actually dump it as a CSV file and then upload it that way. I don't know the answer to that.
Okay.
My suspicion is you'll have to basically make a CSV out of it and then move the awards over, which is probably not going to include like the current tracking of leaves and branches, but then again, that's being done, most of it's being done offline anyway, so.
Yeah, we're taking care of that on our Dropbox account. All my leaders are doing that on Dropbox.
Okay. Well, great. Thanks, guys. I appreciate
thank
all
you,
the
everyone.
information.
Yes, good night.
We only got 7 of us on there, but if you guys got a brief moment, I'll end us in a word of prayer. Why don't you prepare yourself? Lord, we offer ourselves up to you as leaders, and we drop to our knees in front of you for the boys you've placed in our care. And we just pray, Lord, that you would strengthen our programs, that you would strengthen our leaders, and that ultimately, Lord, we would do everything that we do for your glory and for your honor. And we ask this in Jesus' name. Amen. Good night,
Amen.
everyone.
Good night.
Good night, Josh. Hey, good job, man.
Thank you. Good night.
Thanks.